This video was made in collaboration with simplyduty.com. It's unlikely that the UK will end up leaving the EU with no deal. After all, it's in both parties' interest to secure a negotiated outcome. However, as time goes on, being prepared for a no-deal scenario becomes increasingly vital. It's important to both businesses and customers that all potential outcomes are considered to help ensure a smooth transition to the new reality. As such, the government has been working on plans to ensure readiness to cope with all scenarios for the last 2 years. This includes getting ready for a no-deal result come March 2019. The government have produced a series of technical notes to explain what businesses would need to do to get ready for a no-deal situation. This way they can be fully prepared, with the government doing all that's possible to ensure an orderly exit. This video is based on a technical note published by the UK government called Classifying Your Goods in the UK Trade Tariff if There's No Brexit Deal. That might sound a little dry, but it's an important document to help understand how trade would operate if no deal was reached. If you want to read the full document, please click the link in the description below this video. While you might not be directly importing goods, that doesn't mean that this won't affect you too. Huge quantities of consumer goods are imported from the EU. Component parts of UK goods often come from the EU, and many UK employers rely on exports to the Union. Any changes to how trade works post-Brexit will have ripple effects for consumers and businesses throughout the UK. Currently, the UK is part of the EU's Single Market and Customs Union, topics we discuss at length in other videos. There's links to both videos in the description below. Goods which move between EU countries aren't subject to customs duties or routine interventions during the movement of goods. This helps to make trade easier between EU nations and encourages international trade. As the UK is currently an EU member, and therefore a member of the Single Market and Customs Union, UK exports can travel freely to the EU tariff-free and without routine interventions. When goods come into the European Union's custom territory from the rest of the world, so-called third country goods, an import declaration is required. Customs formalities and checks will be carried out and duties must be paid. If the goods are coming from a country which the EU has a free trade agreement with, then they may have preferential rates of duty and rules of origin. If the EU doesn't have a free trade agreement with the country, then the goods are subject to the EU's standard most favoured nation rates of duty and don't receive preferential rules of origin. The UK is currently negotiating with the EU to try and secure a free trade agreement. With an agreement, they can get the favourable rates of duty and rules of origin. However, without a deal, there won't be such a favourable relationship with the EU. On the 29th of March 2019, the UK is set to leave the European Union. As a result, the UK will also leave the Single Market and Customs Union. If the UK leaves the EU without a deal in place, then UK goods will be treated as third country goods. This means that UK goods will be treated in the same way as goods from anywhere else in the world are treated now, until such time as a preferential trading agreement can be established. This means that for all UK exports to the EU will require a payment of duty at the rate set via the EU's Common Custom Tariff. For goods imported to the UK from the UK will require payment of duty at the rate set by the UK government. The Cross-Border Trade Bill gives HM Treasury the power to establish a new UK trade tariff after a no-deal Brexit. The UK trade tariff will replace the EU Common Customs Tariff for imports to the UK. The tariff will set out how the value of goods are calculated, procedures which should be used, as well as many other things. It's then the UK importer's job to use the tariffs to identify the correct classification for their goods. So what are the key points which businesses in the UK and EU need to be aware of? In a no-deal scenario, trade with the EU will be on non-preferential WTO terms. The EU will apply standard most favoured nation rate to goods imported into the EU from the UK. Similarly, the UK will apply its most favoured nation rates to goods imported into the UK from the EU. The full UK trade tariff will be made available for free on gov.uk. The UK does not intend to immediately change the classification of goods in a no-deal Brexit. Essentially, businesses which import goods into the UK from the EU or export goods to the EU could have to comply with all new customs procedures. This means that there'll be a lot of change for businesses and customers when it comes to trade with the EU. The UK government is currently doing all it can to ensure continuity. But as with all things Brexit, Nothing is confirmed until everything is confirmed. We partnered with Simply Duty for this video, and they very kindly shared their fantastic insight into the world of trade post-Brexit. If you do run a business and want to find out more about trade post-Brexit or how Simply Duty can help you, please check out the links in the description. For more news and Brexit information, subscribe to TLDR News on YouTube.